Yeah, I'm sure you've noticed I'm wearing the same outfit, same clothes, because it's been over 24 hours since my last shower. I've been busy. What are you gonna do about it? Call the stink police? Get the odor officers out here? I'll shower here shortly. Today, we're doing something we haven't done in a long time. We're looking at an apology video. This one I could not resist talking about. It is a shockingly bad apology videos, even when you consider all of the classics we've seen come out over the decade. It's a TikTok creator named Michael Duvall. To summarize a lot of the lore, just dropping you some tidbits on it, Michael Duvall was a preschool teacher who produced OnlyFans content at the preschool he worked at. You'll hear it come directly from his mouth in a moment, but occasionally he would take nude photos of himself in the bathroom and even had a video of him masturbating and ejaculating onto the toilet seat, which apparently had like a training seat on it, like for kids to learn how to use the bathroom. It's fucking gross.
I guess let's just start from the very beginning. In 2020 is when I made my OnlyFans. 21 about is when I met my ex-fiance and we got engaged in 2022, and we also broke up in 2022. But I would say that this whole OnlyFans story starts from when we were still together.
He spends the first 3 minutes here talking about his previous relationship and how it kind of got him back into doing OnlyFans content. He said it was a bad relationship, a lot of bad things happened, felt like he was being forced to do things on OnlyFans. Eventually the relationship ends, and then all of this stuff with the preschool happens. So to me it really feels like it's kind of not relevant to the matter at hand here, how you got back into the OnlyFans content, when what's actually being discussed here with the preschool stuff was choices you made by yourself way after that horrible relationship ended. So it feels to me kind of like he's mentioning this past relationship as a way of kind of subtly pushing the blame onto his ex for how things got to where they were. It just doesn't seem like it was a good opener here for something that's supposed to be about taking accountability, because it feels like he's immediately avoiding it. It really does seem like he's just serving up a yappy meal, and we don't even get a cool Minecraft Steve toy with it.
Now, growing up how I did, it's no shock that I was really excited seeing all this money that was coming in. And so I tried really hard. I posted hundreds, if not thousands of times a day in so many Reddit pages, on my OnlyFans, on my Twitter, just stuff like that. And as you know, I was working as a preschool teacher, technically pre-K, pre-kindergarten. And so I had a lot of free time at work where I would post on those apps.
Posting thousands of times per day is unhinged. Not even those rage bait Twitter accounts that drool on that platform day and night trying to engagement farm for $15 at the end of the week get that many posts per day. That is a crazy amount, especially while at work. How would you possibly, as a pre-kindergarten teacher, think that it's appropriate to just be posting all day on these platforms, and for that kind of content too? That's a fucking disgusting thought process where you'd go from alright kids, nap time, go to sleep. Alright, perfect. Now I can make my 300th post a day about spreading my chocolate starfish on this Reddit page, and then I've got to check my OnlyFans to see if anyone's requested me to do a little sounding. That is lunacy. He mentions that he had a ton of free time at work here. I can't imagine there was that much free time to make hundreds, if not thousands, of posts on these platforms. When were you ever even doing your job of teaching pre-kindergarten?
I did go to the bathroom a few times and snap a nude. A lot of the reason why I did that was because I was getting paid by people, and now when I said that, people thought I was getting paid by I don't know if you could say this word, PDF files, you know what I'm trying to say. People thought I was catering to them, and now with some of those Reddit groups I was in, I should not have been in. They were definitely dad, son, trans girls. I got kicked out of a lot of groups for not even fitting the criteria, and it was definitely weird. But when you're in sex work, I don't know. I was just too blinded by the money that was coming in. I know that's no excuse.
Here comes the cold water. It was pedophiles that were paying you to do those things. He keeps denying that, saying that it was, just people wanting to see him do it. It had nothing to do with the location or anything like that. But here comes the truth, like a fucking boxing glove out of a wall, the sock in the jaw. That is exactly who it was, and a lot of people were no doubt paying him because it was in a preschool and shit. He took photos in the fucking preschool classroom he taught at, too. They weren't bare butt-cheek photos and nudes or anything, but he would take photos in his actual preschool classroom with his ass sticking out towards the camera. How are you going to say that you weren't selling these to pedophiles? They clearly knew you were in a child environment doing these sexual things.
So then fast forward to the day I took my first nude at work. I honestly don't remember it, but I do remember that I would get paid like say $45 to take a picture. They'd say go take it, and I would. Now I never did any of this while clocked in. I wasn't allowed to have bathroom breaks like that unless it was an emergency, of course. So when I was in the bathroom, I was upstairs, classrooms were downstairs, I was far away from everyone, in the teacher's bathroom that was locked. That's another thing people are confused about, because they see that the toilets had like little training seats on it, and there was 2 toilets in the bathroom, which was kind of weird. And I think like originally a long time ago, those were kids' bathrooms and we would use them in an emergency, but for the most part, those were for the teachers.
Like a suitcase, there is a lot to unpack here in just this small section, so let's start at chapter 1 here. He claims he never went dicko mode while on the clock at work. He said that when he took those nudes, it was when he was off the clock. Now let's flex our neurons here for a moment, activating 100% of our brain power for a little Jimmy Neutron blast. If you are off the clock, why would you not just go home and take those photos then? Why do them at that preschool? My thought process is the reason he would take the photos there at that preschool is because he knew that that's what people wanted from him. He likes to claim that they weren't pedophiles and he wasn't catering to these fucking freaks. Yet, if he was off the clock while doing this, why wouldn't he have just gone home if the location truly didn't matter? Food for thought. Now moving on to the next piece of this fucking gross puzzle. He says that the bathroom that he would take those nudes in or film the masturbating videos in was the teacher's restroom, which is far removed from the children's restroom. It's on, the upper level, and it was locked, so that way kids couldn't access it. This was the teacher's only commode. Yet, he calls attention to the fact that there is a children's training toilet seat on there, as well as another toilet, like a tiny toilet for kids. And he even does mention that sometimes this still was used by kids in an emergency. He blows his wad, fucking dumps a load onto the children's toilet seat in this restroom. Even if he's telling the truth about it being not during work hours, off the clock, and it is separated from the other children's bathroom, this is still an incredibly fucked up thing to do, and it's very clearly in a restroom that does have child things in it.
I'm not excusing anything I did. There's definitely no excuse, but I do just want to say that it would have happened at that time at any job I worked at. If I was working at the movie theater, still would have happened there instead. It just so happened to be at the daycare, which makes everything so much more worse.
No excuses whatsoever, except for the excuse he's making right now. He's speaking about this like it was some kind of natural disaster, like an unavoidable calamity, like an asteroid hitting the Earth. He's talking like Thanos. This was inevitable. I was going to be stroking my shit till it shot yogurt ropes on a toilet seat for OnlyFans content. It was just a matter of when and where. Could have been a movie theater. Could have been your grandpappy's outhouse. But damn it, it happened to be this daycare that I worked at. Like, what the fuck, man? The audacity for him to try and compare what he did at that daycare to it happening to him at a movie theater, if he happened to work in a movie theater, is a crazy leap. You were a preschool teacher. People were sending their kids to you under the assumption that you were going to educate them and those kids would be safe. And in that environment, you were making explicit content. You were making sexual posts. You were making pornography in the fucking bathrooms, man. That is not even in the same ballpark as if you went into a movie theater bathroom and ejaculated on the toilet seat. It's also crazy that he's trying to say, like, it just so happened to be at that daycare. Goober, you chose that location. You made the conscious decision to film that content and take those photos at the daycare. It wasn't just some random chance where you happened to spawn in at the daycare and had to film it right then and there, or else you would have fucking died or something. You made the choice to film it there. You could have just waited until you went home and did it at your house in privacy, as opposed to doing it at your job at a daycare where children go. Like, I don't know why he's trying to make it sound like, oh, it was just completely, like, it just happened to be there. He did that on purpose.
There's no reason or excuse I shouldn't have waited till I got home. I guess I was just too focused on the money, and at that time I hadn't started my social media career, or maybe I just started it, but I was really focused on the success I was getting on OnlyFans and all the money I was earning, and I used that money to start my shopping vlogs, and that's how I got started on social media full time.
He finally mentions that he could have just went home and did it. He has no reason why he couldn't have just gone home and done it. However, I truly think that he knew what he was making and for whom he was making it for. That's what I believe. There is a reason why these fucking weirdos were requesting him to take these nudes and make this sexual content during his time at the preschool. They wanted him to be at that location for that content. And I really think that Michael Duvall knew that and was probably concerned that if he tried to fulfill those requests outside of the daycare, he would lose their business. He would stop making as much money as he was currently making from them. Now, he does say that it was 4 or 5 posts that people had pointed out, and he has taken down since and is no longer earning any money off of them. But the fact he did this at all in any capacity, even one time, is still just inexcusable.
Being successful on social media. Should I have done it? No. It was gross. It doesn't excuse anything, but at the same time, I hate when people call me names when I know it's not true, or people assume that I was doing stuff that I wasn't doing just because it was at a daycare. Where it was had nothing to do with what I was doing or what I was putting out or the people I was talking to. Those people did not know where I work. Those people did not care where I work. I remember I did post in some of those groups before, like, I'm a teacher. I was trying to have that shock factor. I was trying to have that thing that makes me kind of different.
A broken record. He keeps harping on this point that the location didn't matter, but he immediately contradicts that by saying that he would even advertise that he's a teacher to these clients as like a shock thing to stand out. So wouldn't you think that since you have said you are a teacher and they are requesting and paying you to take these photos, that the location does matter? It's not like these people saw you were a teacher and then started paying you to take photos building a rocket ship with assless chaps on. They were asking you to take these photos at the daycare. Like, I really think it should be pretty clear that the location did matter to them. At least, that's what I think. I think that's pretty obvious. That's my opinion on it. I don't know why he's trying to deny that the location was, like, a selling point to these people when he is actively saying that he would tell them that he is a teacher.
And I know my full story, I know the truth, but that does not excuse what I did at the preschool, and that does not excuse... I also have racist tweets, which I know if I address this, people will bring that up.
Now, this is where his apology takes a crazy turn I haven't seen before. He is breaking new ground, a pioneer in the apology meta. While addressing the current subject, he then gives something else here that nobody was talking about until he brought it up. In the middle of this discussion, he then says, oh, also I have racist tweets. I have racist tweets as well. And it's like, whoa, wait, where did that come from?
Tweets from like 2014 where I said the most insane things. I said things about animals I shouldn't have said, like abusive, not sexual. And I said things about people, groups of people, black people, Asian people. I was very much unhinged and kind of wild as a kid, and I don't want to use the house I lived in as an excuse. There really is no excuse.
This tiny little section here comes in like a surprise post-credits scene. I don't know where this came from, out of nowhere. He just brings this shit in out of left field about his racist tweets in the past. And like some things he said about animals in the past. Very odd.
I was also doing a lot of drugs, and I know I said I didn't want to bring up any excuses, but that's just partially why I don't really remember everything. And so seeing it come to light, it's almost like me seeing it for the first time because I've completely shut it out of my mind, blocked it out.
What? So now you're saying you were doing a lot of drugs at the time, so you don't even remember a lot of these things? A little confused here on the plot. Were you doing drugs while working as a pre-kindergarten teacher? Like you were showing up to work high, and because you had done so many drugs, it led you to think it was okay to make that content? Or are you saying you were doing so many drugs at the time that you did that content sober, but then the drugs blocked it out of your mind, like clouded it? I'm a little lost now on what this claim is about the drugs and and not even remembering doing a lot of it.
And to tell you the truth from my mouth, because I know hearing it from rumors, it can sound a lot worse than it was. I promise you no kids were ever involved. What I did in that bathroom had nothing to do about the building I was in. I know I let a lot of people down, and the people I let down the most is mothers and people with kids and people who thought they could trust me and knew who I was. I just want to say I'm truly sorry. I never meant to make anyone question the type of person I was. I never meant to hurt anyone. I never meant to make those mistakes. And
kind of nuts to me how he says that it sounds a lot worse than it was. Buddy, it was that bad. Like, even all the things that he shed some light on only served to confirm everything that had come out about it. Like, he doesn't really, you know, offer any kind of other explanation that makes it not as bad as people thought. It really is just as bad as people thought. The rest of the video, though, is spent with him saying that he's sorry to mothers and people that he let down with all of this, and he does keep mentioning that the building didn't matter, which, again, he contradicted himself earlier when he said that he advertised himself as, like, a teacher to these people, so I think it did matter. Like, they were requesting that. Like, I think it very much did matter. He doesn't want to admit it here, but I really do believe that he knew that it mattered. Anyway, though, the apology itself is still just not very good. It is a very interesting strategy to also throw in, like, the racist tweets out of nowhere that he decided to mention on his own accord. And even though he said multiple times that he's not making any excuses, he does then immediately try and make excuses throughout the apology. Overall, not the strongest apology. That's about it. So yeah. Have you heard the stories of the P. Diddy Defense Force? I imagine not. These bugs crawl around the deepest, darkest corners of Twitter, constantly trying to fight for the honor of Puff Daddy. These rotten scoundrels aren't paid for their services by P. Diddy to fight his PR battle for him or anything. The only thing they get paid in is a couple of updudes from other inmates of Arkham Asylum that join them on this crusade. The Puff Daddy Patriots have been in full force red alert because a lot of new evidence has come out about just how evil P. Diddy is and has been for years in the music industry. There's overwhelming evidence that has existed for a long time, as well as brand new discoveries that have really painted a picture of just how fucked up P. Diddy is and has always been. And the Puff Patriots have been trying to deny all of it for him. A lot of them just kind of default to like, oh no, women are lying manipulators, so these bunch of whores are trying to get an innocent man in trouble. And they're not a large number of people that do this, mind you, but having anyone that defends P. Diddy is incomprehensible to me. And now this group of goobers is swallowing a tough pill here because a video came out that not even they can defend. It's surveillance camera footage from 2016 in a hotel where P. Diddy chases down and then beats his ex, Cassie. Obviously, I can't show this video, but it is brutal. It is a disgusting thing to witness. And there is no trick photography here. That's not a deep-faked AI or anything like that. It is footage of P. Diddy mercilessly beating his then-girlfriend, which corroborates the abuse allegations that have been made against Diddy for a long time now. P. Diddy also came forward and issued an apology video today. He actually sat down and did a fucking YouTuber apology for this. Let's go ahead and take a peek.
It's so difficult to reflect on the darkest times in your life, but sometimes you gotta do that. I was fucked up. I mean, I hit rock bottom, but I make no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable.
He hits rock bottom, he hits women, he hits crack pipes. There's nothing this guy won't hit. The way he immediately starts this apology video is so fucking phony baloney. It's so difficult to reflect on the dark times, but I've got the strength to do that because I'm built different, so I'm going to reflect on the most painful moments of my life. When it comes to strength, I'm like a Super Saiyan being able to sit down and talk about this. Like, and then he goes on about how, like, it's inexcusable, he's not gonna make any excuses. Brother, your whole fucking career is built around making excuses for your abusive behavior and all the really fucked up shit you've done. And you are still constantly doing that. Even if it's not you directly making the excuses, you hire your fucking team of lawyers to do it for you to keep yourself out of jail. This is a guy that should have been locked up for life a long time ago.
I take full responsibility for my actions in that video. I'm disgusted. I was disgusted then when I did it. I'm disgusted now.
Turn yourself in then. You take full responsibility for it, you're that disgusted, walk to the nearest police station and turn yourself over. Although I'm not even sure if the police department would do anything about it. They issued this statement once the video started to go viral. They said, "We are aware of the video that has been circulating online allegedly depicting Sean Combs assaulting a young woman in Los Angeles. I've said this before and millions of people have said it millions of times before me. But the word allegedly does so much heavy lifting in this day and age, it's fucking crazy. Like, I know why they use it in the legal sense, but like, we all just watched P. Diddy beat Cassie, and he himself came forward to confirm that it was him beating Cassie, and they still use the word allegedly. That is like actual Looney Tunes level cartoonish dog shit there. You can just drop that word. The video has been circulating online depicting Sean Combs assaulting a young woman. Like, there's no gray area here. He has confirmed it. Everyone can see it in the video, but whatever. We find the images extremely disturbing and difficult to watch, and the office added that it would not be able to take action against Combs. If the conduct depicted occurred in 2016, unfortunately, we would be unable to charge as the conduct would have occurred beyond the timeline where a crime of assault can be prosecuted. As of today, law enforcement has not presented a case related to the attack depicted in the video against Mr. Combs, but we encourage anyone who has been a victim or witness to a crime to report it to law enforcement or reach out to our office for support from our Bureau of Victim Services. Gotta tell you, sports fans, that bureau doesn't sound like it's doing a whole lot of service to the victims if it's going to say like, oh no, your assault, that took place way too long ago. Our hands are tied. We're not doing anything about that. Move on. Like, that's not exactly the best service to victims. How is someone going to come forward and be like, look, I got beat by my ex in this hotel, and it was a traumatic experience that I've been quiet about for so long out of fear for my life. Is there something we can do about it? And they just say, nope. Now, this isn't Cassie that's approaching them, by the way. Like, this video wasn't released by Cassie or her team, at least not from what I've been able to tell. I get the statute of limitations. Like, I do understand that in certain contexts, but when it comes to, like, assaults, like brutally beating women and just all kinds of things, like violent crimes, I would imagine there shouldn't really be an expiratory period there, like it's a fucking loaf of bread, like a Best Buy date that you have to act within this window or else that's the end of it. Now it's kaput. He just gets away with it. I think it's super fucking stupid.
I went and I sought out professional help. Now they're going to therapy. They're going to rehab.
Oh boy, I'm starting to tear up now. Yeah, this is some heavy stuff here, P. Diddy. This is tough. Yeah, would you like a side of French fries with that? Like, what the fuck, man? Why is he trying to summon the wambulance here? He tries to tell his own little sob story here about how it was so hard for him. Wah, wah, wah. I'm the real victim here, actually. It was tough for me, too. I highly fucking doubt he's done any therapy or any rehab or anything, because he has decades worth of allegations against him for these type of violent, abusive tendencies. And the allegations are backed by mountains of evidence and continue all the way to present day. So I highly doubt at any point in his life he's ever sought professional help for him being a violent maniac.
Had to ask God for his mercy and grace. I'm so sorry. But I'm committed to be a better man each and every day. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm truly sorry.
It's so weird if he's that remorseful about the situation, why he didn't apologize back in 2016, why he tried to bury it to the best of his ability and deny all of the allegations and try and paint all of his accusers in the worst possible light to make it seem like they were untrustworthy and lying about the whole thing. It's so weird how all of a sudden now that the video is out there and it's irrefutable proof of all of these allegations made against him, that all of a sudden now he's got this real heavy burden on his shoulders and it's so disgusting and he's truly sorry for it. He's very apologetic. It's so odd that, like, now he's really apologetic about it, now that he's been caught. It almost seems really disingenuous to me. But anyway, P. Diddy is one of the most well-documented monsters in the music industry, and it is shocking that he still is not in prison. But with more and more evidence constantly coming to light about this guy, I'm optimistic that eventually justice will be served here. But anyway, just wanted to give you a little update to what's going on with P. Diddy here. The apology video, if I was to put that on the YouTuber apology tier list, that would be a strong F. Fucking terrible. Absolutely atrocious. That's about it. See ya. EDP445 has issued an apology for the cupcake incident from 2 years ago. Not exactly the quickest response time, but it's a little bit faster than Valve responding to Team Fortress 2 issues. So I probably don't even need to give you the lore dump here. The story of EDP445's fall from grace is a more well-known story than Little Red Riding Hood by this point. But just in case, 2 years ago, he was caught in a child predator sting operation, which also unearthed a lot of other repeated instances of him being inappropriate with minors in his community. For this, he lost his entire career, and since then he has desperately been trying to claw his way back to the internet because it's all he knows. It's his only home, so he pathetically comes back like every couple of months for the last 2 years, like clockwork, with a new pitiful attempt at reviving his internet career. There's only a few certainties in life: death, taxes, and EDP coming back when no one wants him to. He's posted videos on every platform that allows video sharing capability. I wouldn't have been surprised if he tried to make a career out of streaming on Xbox 360 Arcade Uno, where they used to let you use the Xbox fucking Connect or whatever in order to like have a webcam chat in Uno servers. Wouldn't have been surprised if he tried that. He has gone to every platform ever and has been banned from all of them. Because what EDP did is unforgivable. This is not something you can ever come back from. He should be counting his lucky stars he's not in jail. He must have had fairy godparents and they granted him one last wish, and it was to avoid jail time. The only reason he's not there is because the investigation and all of the evidence was conducted online, so authorities usually don't use that in like actual prosecution or anything. So he must have collected all the fucking Dragon Balls and made a wish, and Shinron kept him out of jail. Because the amount of proof and evidence of not only the cupcake incident, obviously, where he actually went in person to meet a child for sex, not only just that, but like a repeated history of having similar circumstances with being inappropriate with kids, all of this very well documented. The fact that all of that exists and he's not in jail is beyond a miracle for EDP. And now he is once again doing his standard song and dance, trying to get back his internet career and find redemption. He's made a couple other videos in the past addressing it loosely, like where he's like eating a cupcake, so literally leaning into being a pedophile, I guess, and acknowledging it. And then only a handful of months ago, he made a statement on his website that was perhaps one of the wildest ideas ever cooked up by a human brain. He said that the whole cupcake incident, that whole scenario, was actually all acting. He was hired for an acting job to play a pedophile, and he committed to the role, and he had no idea it was going to be used as like a legitimate thing. He thought it was all just a Shakespearean play, basically, just part of, you know, the acting craft. But this is the first video he's made where he's apologizing and talking about it, like actually talking about it. And I've seen a lot of people saying, oh, wow, finally, he's taking accountability. He's starting to, you know, grow now, and you know, maybe he can move on from this. What a bunch of hooey. That is a load of fish paste. He doesn't, in his entire 8.5-minute apology video, he doesn't once refer to what actually happened. When he's talking about being caught in a child predator sting operation, he calls it that YouTube shit.
I want to take full responsibility for my actions that happened on April 21st, 2021. The entire YouTube shit that went down, the entire YouTube incident, you know what I mean, that went the fuck down. I'm not even going to get into it. You guys already know what the fuck happened. I'm taking full responsibility, full accountability for my actions.
He doesn't even say what he did and what he like is guilty of. He just loosely refers to it vaguely and brushes it off quickly. That is the opposite of taking accountability. He doesn't even fucking address it directly. Now, he states one of the reasons for the tardiness behind this apology is because he's been in talks with lawyers over the last couple of years about what he can and cannot say. And I'm just going to slap down the Phoenix Wright objection. I'm calling baloney, because if he did have a team of lawyers behind him after all these years, I'm assuming they would have advised him to not make any of the statements he's made over the last couple of years. Especially the one where he faked emails to try and confirm that all of this was actually just an acting moment. It was all just a ruse. It was supposed to be a movie, not real. It's all fake. or the other statement he made about how it never happened in the first place and just outright denying it. I feel like if there were lawyers behind him for the last couple of years, they would have told him, do not do that. But let's play ball with that idea for a second. Let's assume he's being truthful. If the lawyers have told him to not mention any of the specifics of the incident, then you can't come on this video and pretend like you're taking accountability or responsibility. If you're not willing to actually tackle what happened and what you are guilty of and actually talk about it directly, then you can't pretend that you're somehow taking accountability or responsibility in the situation. I didn't want to talk about this apology video because I don't think there's any value here. I've already made a few videos talking about EDP over the last 2 years with every attempt he's made to try and come back to the internet. And this is just another one of those, a desperate Hail Mary to try and monetize an internet career again because it is all he has. It is the only home that he knows. So he keeps trying. But this is just not something that you can come back from.
Taken the proper measures and the proper steps forward to seek out help, to try to, get my head on right and to make sure that, in the distant future that I do not hurt, my loving, caring, supporting friends and family, because they're the ones that hurt the most. They are the ones that suffered the most.
No, they're not. The actual victims are. What do you mean? Yes, of course, they did get caught in the crossfire here from everything you did online, but you should really be apologizing far more to the actual victims. Not just the cupcake incident, but the actual children that you've been inappropriate with over all the years. He mentions that he's getting help to try and, not be a danger to children anymore, which is good, taking those steps, but even if they do cure the pedophile, it doesn't mean that you can come back as some kind of content creator again. You cannot have an internet career again after what you've done. Period. Full stop. There is no coming back from that. I do find it very upsetting that when he does make these attempts at comebacks, he does usually find an audience of delusional weirdos that downplay the severity of what he's done in his past. I'm talking about how pedophilia is not even a big deal and there wasn't any real victims, which is categorically false. He may not have actually met a child during the cupcake incident. It was all a sting operation, but there were very real victims to EDP that most people seem to forget. Actual children he was being inappropriate with. There are victims. It's not just that one time with the sting operation, the fucking Chris Hansen have a seat to catch a predator moment for EDP. There was many more. It's just not something you move on from. Now, he does mention at the very beginning of the video that he's come close to, hurting himself and ending it all over the last couple of years as a result of everything that happened with this whole situation. And he mentions that he's extremely remorseful for all of it and recognizes that it's all his fault. And he also mentions that his family has been harassed a lot from all of this. And overall, yeah, it's sad to hear that, but again, it is all your fault. You can't come back to the internet after all of this. You are a danger to children. You preyed on kids in your audience. You can't come back online from that. You should have been in jail, but got extremely lucky to avoid that. So you should have been satisfied with just being able to stay out of jail and completely cut ties with the internet. Buckle down in the real world and just do something else and never come back online. Now, I understand over the last 2 years he has tried getting other jobs, but some people have recognized him and felt unsafe because, shocker, child predators are a danger in society. So he did lose his job, his other couple of jobs he's had over the last couple of years, but that doesn't mean you just quit and then just go back to the internet to try and monetize there for your career. You cannot come back from what you did online, period. So you should have just kept trying to find a job that you can hold down where people aren't going to recognize and harass you, and just stay pursuing that. He also does mention that the reason he's making the apology is because he wants to eventually have redemption online, which I think what he's done is irredeemable. I really do. I feel like most people probably do as well. It's an unforgivable act, but he keeps trying. And I don't even think this apology is genuine. This feels once again like another plan of his to try and crawl back online, because he has done it so many times before. This is not really taking accountability or responsibility. He keeps saying that it is, but he can't even address the actual issue itself. And not only the cupcake incident, he doesn't even mention the other victims outside of that either. So he doesn't actually even take any accountability or anything like that. So I don't even think it's coming from a place of like genuine remorse or anything. It really seems like it's coming from a place of desperation to find a career again online. So yeah, that's about it. So yep. Well, well, well. What a day. This was quite a shocking twist here, like a Darman climax. We had YouTube finally issue a statement on what they're doing about the SSniperWolf doxing situation, and we had SSniperWolf herself, the life of the party, come forward and make an apology post. And what a wacky ride it's been. And in the wise, timeless words of Captain Barbossa, you best start believing in cringe stories. You're in one. Because this is an absolute fucking headache. I know I don't really need to give you any kind of lore breakdown to bring you up to speed because of how huge this story's become, but it just doesn't feel right if I don't at least set the table with some silverware, just in case you're a little hungry and don't know what's going on. So, the briefest bullet points. Jax Films is a huge YouTuber. He called out another huge YouTuber named SSniperWolf for her reaction content to TikToks where she was basically just blatantly stealing it, not really transforming it, and he criticized her for it. He even made a whole channel dedicated to making fun of her and criticizing her for it further. So this led to this big stew of emotions and bad blood between the two of them. The stew bubbled over and started to spill when SSniperWolf decided to dox Jax Films on her Instagram story where she showed up at his house and posted his house to her 5 million followers on Instagram, which obviously you can't do. That's a criminal act. SSniperWolf shows up at Jax Films' door like the fucking hash-slinging slasher here, trick-or-treating when she wasn't invited, and claims that she was just trying to talk it out like adults, even though this is not how adults handle any kind of situation. You can't just dox someone that you have beef with online. So the question then became, what is YouTube going to do about it? Because not only is this not allowed legally, it's not allowed on YouTube's terms, period. And historically, YouTube has been cutthroat with this kind of thing. They do not take doxing lightly. So it's been about a week, and YouTube has finally broken their silence on what they plan to do. And man, what a fucking stinker. Boy howdy, it would be less smelly in a porta potty. Take a peek at their tweet here. Today they spat this drivel out, confirming SSniperWolf has received a temporary monetization suspension per creator responsibility policies. Off-platform actions that put others' personal safety at risk harm our community, and the behavior on both sides isn't what we want on YouTube. Hoping everyone helps move this convo to a better place. They actually just unironically dropped a both sides in this situation. That is one of those things where you read it and it's like a flashbang hits you, like all your senses go out and you have to question if what you just read was real. I don't even know how they were able to reach deep enough in their ass to pull out a both sides statement for this one. Like, what did he do wrong? I don't know why they're trying to make it sound like he's also guilty in this, or maybe even, somewhat responsible and to blame for how this played out, which is kind of how it reads, like they're fucking victim blaming him here. Like, what was his crime? What is the charge? Eating a meal? A succulent Chinese meal? This is democracy manifest. That's a classic Charles Doza line. I just had to slide in there. That just felt natural. But yeah, again, what did Jax Films do wrong? He is completely blameless here. There's no reason why they should be trying to make it sound like Jax Films did something wrong. His only crime was being alive, which gave her the means to target him. Like, I really can't wrap my head around how they could even make it seem like Jax Films is even remotely in the wrong here. If they're trying to say that the criticisms that he keeps tossing towards SSniperWolf is unwarranted, so the behavior is unacceptable, then that's even more delusional, because there's nothing wrong with criticisms. There's nothing wrong with making fun of SSniperWolf's content. He has literally done nothing that warrants any level of blame or warrants this kind of response from SSniperWolf to fucking dox him and publicly dox him and show up to his house. This was YouTube's chance for a big W here to finally prove they don't play favorites even with their most lucrative cash cows. This is one of those actions where it should have resulted in a harsh punishment, and YouTube had the opportunity to showcase, listen, we're gonna put the rumors to bed once and for all. There's no favoritism on this platform. We all play by the same rules. We all, put our pants on one leg at a time. SSniperWolf is getting punished for doxing. We don't take it lightly. but they didn't. They were extremely slow and very clearly extremely reluctant to take even the lightest bit of action against her. A temporary monetization suspension isn't the harshest punishment in the world. It is still a punishment, yes, but it's still more of like a slap on the wrist. We don't know how temporary it is. It could be like a fucking 10-hour monetary suspension. Like, this is actually the scene in SpongeBob. Don't do the crime if you can't do the time. Shuts the door. Okay, you're free to go. And it's like just 2 seconds has elapsed. It's just not really what most people would have expected from this, because it's not really enough for most people, given the gravity of the situation here, where Jax Films and his wife don't feel safe in their own home as a result of all of this. So this seems like a situation that they did just because they felt like they had to. There was too much backlash for them to continue to bury their head, so they did like the teeniest, tiniest little tiptoe into the pool of punishment, and they issued this temp monetization halt on SniperWolf's content. I imagine once all of this blows over, they'll flip it back on and it'll be back to business as usual for SniperWolf and YouTube. I'm sure she'll RSVP at the next, creator summit for YouTube. Like, it's just not really satisfactory for the majority of people here. And to top it all off, it's the way YouTube delivers it. Again, trying the both sides thing is just, it's so crazy and delusional. Now, SniperWolf did also issue an apology post. She couldn't even be bothered to do an apology video. She put it on Twitter, which is by far her least large platform, to try and keep as many eyes off of it as she can from her audience. So, at least as of right now, as of me making this, she hasn't made an apology video for her actual core audience to see. The timing of her apology statement is also very interesting because it comes almost immediately after YouTube's post. So this leads me to believe that SniperWolf and YouTube had some kind of handshake agreement where it'll be like a light punishment as long as she makes an apology on Twitter, and she obliged. Let me start by saying I'm sorry for my most recent actions. It is inexcusable. I'm sorry to Jax Films, YouTube, the entire creator community, and my incredible fans for not being a better example for appropriate conflict resolution. Jax Films, while we certainly don't see eye to eye and have our differences, I'm sorry for reacting the way I did when I should have taken the opportunity to show young creators how adults and professionals resolve conflict by communicating directly, respectfully, and privately. Not for views or content, but a meaningful example of how conflict should be solved. I will reach out directly and hope we can find some time to connect and communicate respectfully. I'd also like to thank YouTube for holding me accountable. I deserve it. Respect the decision and appreciate the opportunity to learn and grow from a true lapse in judgment. I don't really have too many thoughts on her apology. Anytime I even hear the phrase or read the phrase lapse in judgment, I just immediately think of the Logan Paul apology video. But there's really nothing she can say here. What she's done is absolutely indefensible. It's also very unlikely that she's being genuine here. Like, I don't think she feels remorse for it or anything. She did immediately make light of it by saying, "We pull up to your house, what are you going to do?" on her Instagram story following all of this. So this really does seem like this was kind of forced on her by YouTube. Not even the backlash from her audience or everyone online. I think she still believes that what she did is okay. It's just YouTube made her do this. That's my working game theory here. That's the impression I get. When she says thanks to YouTube for holding her accountable, that seems really fake. YouTube isn't really holding her accountable. Temporarily suspending her monetization is a punishment, sure, but it's not exactly one that fits the crime, which is why so many people are dissatisfied with this whole situation and the way that it's concluding here. Unfortunately, it does seem like this is where the situation is wrapping up, and I don't think a lesson has been learned by SniperWolf nor by YouTube. I truly think that all of the backlash over the last week, the millions upon millions of people that have been talking about it nonstop, did not matter at all to either party. They just felt at some point, okay, fine, we'll do a little something so you guys can just shut up about it. And that's what we saw today. Pretty disappointing stuff overall. That's about it. So yeah. Oh yeah, you know what time it is. It's time to roll on out of bed, get a good stretch, get some cereal in your system, sit down and see the latest in the Logan Paul CryptoZoo scam situation. I don't think there's any need for a Dragon Ball Z recap of what's happened up till this point. I think we all know, but I'll give you the briefest rundown. YouTuber CoffeeZilla exposed Logan Paul for a massive crypto scam he was running, telling the story of many victims who lost tons and tons of money on it. A lot of information came out about exactly how horrible this situation was. Logan Paul hiring literal criminals to run it with him who stole $7.7 million. And after CoffeeZilla released this series of investigative videos, Logan Paul responded with threats against CoffeeZilla, talking about taking him to court. He then made a podcast episode doubling down on everything he was saying. He never defended himself. He didn't attack any of the claims. He didn't provide any evidence to prove that he's innocent. He just kind of kicked in the door, walked up like the Undertaker. He's like, CoffeeZilla, he's a sham. He's a little man. And just like a little man does, he does little man things. And I'm a big boy. I'm Logan Paul. So fuck that guy. And that's it. Like, that's his whole thing. He just kept attacking CoffeeZilla's character without ever even addressing the evidence that he provided. So obviously the first two responses didn't go over well with anyone at all. Not a single soul on this planet. So after that happened, he released a third apology video where the attitude was very different. He was singing a completely different tune. He backpedaled on everything he said about CoffeeZilla, even thanked him for the investigation, said he's dropping the lawsuit, which is probably the smartest thing he's ever decided to do, because his face would have been used as toilet paper to wipe everyone's ass in court if he actually went through with that defamation case idea. But anyway, after the apology video was posted by Logan, CoffeeZilla responded to it last night, going over some of the things that he talked about that are good, that are actually helping some victims that were affected by the scam, but also some things that really fell flat. So I think it's a very interesting breakdown, and I think it's a very fitting conclusion, and I still hope that more is done to help the victims of his massive scam, but this is definitely a step in the right direction. The gift that just keeps on giving. So this is the follow-up to everything. Logan Paul made his big statement talking about like that $1.3 million. Well, you know what? I'm sure CoffeeZilla will cover all of it here.
Well, it's finally over. Logan Paul apologized.
CoffeeZilla, you're slimy.
And we all forgave him.
A lopsided journalist with an...
Turns out it's actually on his secondary channel. That's why I couldn't find it. It's entitled, Thank You, CoffeeZilla. It's the third response from Logan Paul.
I love this intro. CoffeeZilla's coming out here with the fangs out. He's got his claws drawn. Yeah, I mean, third time's the charm, though, for Logan. He really nailed it on this one. He's a saint again, back in our good graces. I bought 5 bottles of Prime just to celebrate. He's a new man.
CoffeeZilla is not a criminal.
Oh, that's a relief. I thought Logan was going to hire me. But in all seriousness, this video does have some major admissions in it I want to go through. For
banger.
one, Logan
Actual
apologizes
banger.
to me.
I called him, I apologized. My initial response to his series was that of fire and ego.
Not only that, Logan also pledges a $1.3 million refund plan for people who bought his NFTs. In addition to that, he also promises to finish CryptoZoo, which was left abandoned.
And then
He should just hire that YouTuber that did it in 4 hours. Call it a day, just... I paid this YouTuber an exposure to finish my crypto scam for me so I can continue to make more money off of this.
For example, I think if you're an outsider who is not affected by this scam and you wanted a reason to love Logan Paul again, I think this nails it. I mean...
That was one of the main things I said when he posted that. If you weren't affected by the scam, you don't know anyone that was affected by the scam, him posting this makes it very easy for you to be a fan again, kind of guilt-free. Like, oh... Okay, so some people got scammed, but look at how well he handled himself in this third apology video. So we can just move on past this. I'm not offended anymore, so I don't care if you guys are. I've forgiven him for you guys, so we're good.
Flat, because he doesn't adequately address the real victims of CryptoZoo, which I think they're rightfully angry about. And I wanted to spend some time talking about that because, again, they've been the heartbeat of this whole story, and they feel very differently about this response than Logan's core audience does.
Yeah,
they don't feel
that
like
sounds about right.
And I want to talk about why. Starting with the $1.3 million repayment plan. It doesn't even apply to the holder of Zoo coins at all. You get nothing if you bought this in-game currency. This refund only applies to current egg holders. So they can cash out that NFT for the initial mint price in crypto, which matters sort of because crypto has crashed a lot. So even though people...
Just to slide on in between your butt cheeks here, I'd like to further clarify on the repayment plan. It is good that there is something that victims can tap into to get some money back, but it's not all of it. It's not every victim, and it's actually only in specific cases for people that were affected by this. So with this $1.3 million repayment plan, it covers some losses for some people, but not all of it. And since crypto has crashed, the value of all of it's very different now. So people aren't going to be made whole, but at least it's something going back to some of the victims, which rarely happens in cases like this where a giant scam comes crumbling down. 9 times out of 10, it just results in the scammer being like, you entered the poop zone, you should have expected to get a little shitty. You know, and they just move on and just never talk about it again. So at least there is something coming back, but of course, it's not all of it.
The Zoo coins were most of this scam. I mean, that's where most of the money was spent. It wasn't just on the NFTs. It was on this in-game currency, which Logan seems to have no intention of refunding. And his response for why is pretty bad. He responds to somebody who lost $80,000 who told him, I hope this isn't just doing what you have to do technically to not get sued.
Oh, goodness gracious. Jinkies. 80K in zoo shitties? Oh, Ruben. Oh, that is painful. Oh, goodness.
Logan replies with a screenshot of his white paper and later explains to
Wait, hold on. Let me read that. Replying with just a picture from your terms of service or whatever is always just such a douchey thing. Because Zoo was created to support CryptoZoo and was not intended to be an investment vehicle, the contract doesn't include incentives for liquidity providing, although the largest, and then cuts off. Okay, so it's just, eat shit, loser. Should have read.
Paper, and later explains to another member of the Discord, I believe there has been a misconception here. As outlined in the white paper, Zoo was created to support CryptoZoo and was not intended to be an investment vehicle. When you sold or bought is not my decision. And look, to be fair to him, there was a misconception that Zoo was an investment vehicle, but it's a misconception that he created.
And he's also not wrong. You shouldn't have bought in the first place. Like, I don't know what drew you to it to begin with. You must really love a picture of eggs and a picture of some animals. Like, he is not wrong. He wasn't the one that forced you to buy in and waste 80,000 doubloons on it. But very douchey, considering you were the one that scammed him and got him to bite into it.
Based strictly on the value of said investment vehicle. Quote, rules for selling. No
market
selling
manipulation.
Until a $200 million market cap. So I think it's fair to say, if Logan's own team were buying Zoo coins early, waiting for them to go up in value to a certain level and then selling them, that sounds like an investment vehicle, albeit a very stupid one. Be, quote, abandoned. Will everyone who minted be able to get that refund, or just the current owners? Now, in reply to this, someone in the Discord said, if you sell, you lose common investing knowledge.
Or if you invest in CryptoZoo, you lose common sense knowledge. But I mean, again, that is a cold, hard fact that he just dropped onto the table. He slapped his meat down and said, if you bought into this, you sold, you lost. He is correct. But it is still, once again, Logan's fault because he peddled a non-functional scam that was abandoned for a fucking year and a half.
And Logan replies, seeming to agree with this idea. In another Discord exchange, Logan says, please do not put any more money into CryptoZoo, which, by the way, is quite reasonable to say.
Yeah,
but then somebody follows up and says, guys, can someone explain what he said with not investing? But rather than replying, oh, guys, I just meant like I don't want anyone else losing money, or, I don't want anyone else recklessly gambling, Logan replies instead, quote, I will no longer be the scapegoat for anyone's financial decision.
Woe is me. Oh, man, I'm so tired of being the scapegoat for my scam. Damn. The Matrix is out to get me here, and I'm tired of it. No more of this. It's your fault that you fell for my scam. Idiots.
He doesn't seem to see anything wrong with advertising a game that will make you money, it never delivering, millions of dollars being stolen by criminals he hired. And then when all of those people want their money back, he feels like he's the scapegoat. Like, oh, these guys shouldn't have believed me when I advertised to them a fun game that will make you money.
True.
It just doesn't make any sense.
How could these fools have played into my trap when it was so obvious that it was a fake garbage scam to begin with? Why should I feel empathy for these plebeians? I hired 3 criminals to run this and they stole from me. I'm the victim, not these pores that put money into my shit. So why should I be bothered to help them? Fuck you guys.
I mean, Logan had a simple job to do. All he had to do was just come out, apologize, get as much money back for the victims as possible. But he himself can't help but play the victim here. In fact, I have a third example of how Logan might really feel, because Logan tweeted right before his response. He says,
That
quote,
shit was
"The
awesome.
Matrix is real. Pray you never become its target." Now, I guess he's trying to channel Andrew Tate here unsuccessfully, basically saying like,
Andrew Tate even fucking
I'm
dunked on him
getting
for
attacked,
it.
not because I did anything wrong or scammed anyone. I'm just too much of a truth teller. I'm just an enemy of the system. That's why I must.
He
be
revealed
getting
too
attacked.
much.
But if that's the case, we then have to wonder, who's the Matrix though, Logan? Like, is it your fans who got robbed? Who are the agents coming after you? I know it's not me.
So I'll explain it. Logan, with his back against the wall, does what he does best. He tries to parrot literally anyone else's belief. All he did was grift into something that he thought might be able to earn him some points to get out of it, so he went with the Matrix angle because it's such a hot button thing with Tate and all that. What he failed to realize is that literally no one is on his side, so that became even more of a goofy, delusional attempt at saving face. The guy scammed, point blank, hired 3 criminals, which he himself admits, and he still had the gall, the chutzpah, to try the Matrix angle, which even summoned the Matrix man himself, Andrew Tate, to shit on him for it publicly, further burying Logan's head in his ass. It's such a poetic disaster of PR. He couldn't make a good move. I actually still do believe Logan Paul doesn't have any thoughts of his own. I don't actually think he believes anything in his own mind. He just tries to pander. And he chooses any position that is the easiest and most potentially safe position to take.
I didn't want to release it at the time because I thought there was a better chance at getting a good ending for the victims here if I was a bit more diplomatic with Logan at this critical juncture when he was deciding whether he was going to give money back or not.
At the end of the day, the whole purpose behind this entire thing was telling the victim's story, so anything that could result in them getting their money back is the optimal outcome. That'd be a mission accomplished.
Which, by the way, I think some of them are. In fact, I just saw a lawyer on YouTube, Attorney Tom. He's going to start the legal process going after Logan using stuff like the arbitration clause in your terms of service. So I just wanted to say, if you're a victim of CryptoZoo, it's your support that made all the difference and got the victims at least something. So that wraps it up. Thank you for watching.
Imagine Logan comes out and just like, you know what? Fuck you guys. You didn't suck my dick hard enough for my benevolent actions here. I am going to sue CoffeeZilla. Fuck you. I feel like it'll happen. It won't. He knows there's no shot he can do that. He would lose even more should he decide to, for some reason, reignite the lawsuit. Just a bullying tactic he never intended to sue. Well, the tactic isn't the threat of a lawsuit. The bullying tactic is when people like that have a lot of money, they can take it to the next step and cost you money to defend yourself. That's the bullying. It's financial bullying through the lawsuit. So him just saying, I'm going to sue you, well, it doesn't really do anything. Now you just look like a weak bitch. You didn't. The tactic that's been used by other YouTubers like BritBoy is, I'm suing you, and then you take it to the next level where you actually do start putting in the paperwork. So then it adds not only a financial burden with getting a lawyer to represent you, which costs money, it then takes a mental toll because of the stress of having to defend yourself legally against someone like that. So that's where the actual bullying is. Or BitBoy Crypto. Sorry, not BritBoy. my bad. That's where that comes in. Oh, Carl's another great example. Billy Mitchell going after Carl. That's another example of that same tactic that's being used. Yeah, Billy Mitchell is notorious for using that. Today, Will Smith posted a YouTube apology video for slapping Chris Rock at the Oscars. And when I saw it, I had to scratch my head and wonder why. It happened so long ago. I was confused. Why is he apologizing now? I felt like Robin Williams coming out of Jumanji asking what year it was. And then I remembered that that happened this year. It was 4 months ago that Will Smith slapped Chris Rock's head clean off his shoulders at the Oscars. He turned an award ceremony into a public execution when he blasted Chris Rock to Valhalla, just banishing him to the Shadow Realm with a slap.
Mm-hmm.
Oh baby, that's right. He starts this with the most generic YouTuber apology intro imaginable. A slow walk into a big sigh right before getting into the actual apology. Textbook. He's clearly been trained by some of the YouTuber apology greats like Logan Paul, Laura Lee, Tati. I mean, this is perfection here. Every box of YouTuber apology cliche gets ticked immediately except for one. He didn't bring his dog into it. A lot of YouTubers like to bring in an animal in order to, you know, deflect some of the criticism with cuteness with the animal. Will Smith, unfortunately, must have forgot that prop this time around, but everything else he nails.
Why didn't you apologize to Chris in your acceptance speech? I was fogged out by that point. It's all fuzzy.
So the main thing he's doing in the apology video here is answering questions that people have asked over the last 4 months. And again, I have to wonder, why even bother? It's been 4 months on internet time. That's basically ancient history. Like, that's back there with like Y2K now. Most people have moved on and forgotten about it. So it's a little weird to be this tardy to the party with addressing these things. Now, of course, I understand this was like a career-ruining moment for him, so he wants to do his best to be perceived positively again, both by movie execs as well as the general public. So if he really did feel strongly enough that he wants to apologize, then all power to him. But anyway, the first question that he addresses here is one that I don't think anyone with half a brain ever asked in the first place. Why didn't you apologize to Chris during your acceptance speech? The answer should be pretty obvious if you have eyes. It's because he was still mad. He was still fuming. Of course he wasn't going to apologize for it. Literally 15 minutes before he accepted that award, he had just charged the stage like The Undertaker during WrestleMania going into the ring and clobbered Chris. So of course he's not going to immediately like fold and be like, man, sorry Chris, that was out of line. He was still upset. That's why he didn't apologize. I don't really understand his excuse of I was still, you know, in a fog. It was all still fuzzy. Like in the moment that makes sense, but over the last 4 months, what, you've just been in a perpetual fog? You've been in like the upside down or something? Like, what do you mean? You've had 4 months if you wanted to publicly apologize to Chris and you didn't. And even to be fair here, you still don't. He says I'm sorry to a lot of people, but the one person he doesn't say the words I'm sorry to is Chris.
I've reached out to Chris, and the message that came back is that he's not ready to talk, and when he is, he will reach out. So I will say to you, Chris, I apologize to you. My behavior was unacceptable, and I'm here whenever you're ready to talk.
That almost sounds like a trap, like, hey, I'm here whenever you're ready to talk. And it turns out Will's been training for the last 4 months with slap boxing, so he's been like slapping brick walls until they collapse, so he's ready to really get him with like a double whammy, get him with that encore performance. There's a big difference between saying, I apologize to you, and I'm sorry. I don't think people really understand the value of just saying, I'm sorry. I think it's the most important thing to say during an apology, which he does say later on to other people, but never Chris. To Chris, he just says, I apologize, and the action was unacceptable. Which is, you know, that's good, that's definitely a start, but I really think you needed that cherry on top here of an I'm sorry. This is also just one of those things that should have been handled privately. I'm sure there were plenty of ways in the pipeline to let Chris know that you were genuinely remorseful for what happened, but I understand why he thought this was a good idea. I'm going to make a video coming forward, publicly apologizing and owning up to my mistakes, letting people see how horrible I feel and what I'm doing to change and be better. The thought process makes sense. You know, let people see a vulnerable side of you and let them know that you made a mistake and you know that. And that, it again, does make sense to anyone who's never been on the internet. I think one thing most people online are starting to understand and wake up to is that when you make an apology video, you lose. It's like what war games taught us. The only winning move is not to play. When you make an apology video, it is a lose-lose situation for you. You're either going to have people that don't believe that you're actually sorry, or they're going to have people that think that you didn't need to apologize in the first place, so now you look stupid. You look like a pussy. Which I'm already seeing with Will Smith's apology, like, why is he apologizing? He stood up for his wife. Does he not support his wife anymore? Oh my god, I've lost all respect for Will with this apology now. And then on the other side of that coin is, man, Will really needed to apologize, but this apology video was so dog shit, he missed the mark entirely. This is the worst apology video I've ever seen in my life. You just don't win with an apology, so again, this should have just been private.
3 months replaying and understanding the nuances and the complexities of what happened in that moment.
You slap the shit out of a man. It's not that deep. Talking about it like it's the most complex situation of all time. Like this slap was somehow, you know, like a Cold War or something here. It was a simple act that affected a decent chunk of people. Chris, most notably, I would say, was physically affected by the slap, but Will's career was also hurt by it. Chris's family was probably pretty upset by it. Like, yes, of course, people were affected by it, but it's not like there needs to be like 4 months spent of just digesting this giant web that all spawned from a slap. Because, again, at the end of the day, it's really not that deep.
After Jada rolled her eyes, did she tell you to do something? No. It's like, you know, I made a choice on my own, from my own experiences, from my history with Chris. Jada had nothing to do with it.
Jada was behind the camera with a teleprompter and a gun, making sure this question was addressed properly. Of course, I'm kidding. You know, Jada just has very odd moments publicly with Will that I think are very tasteless in the things she says to and about Will. And it's the reason why a lot of people felt like she may have contributed to this overreaction from Will. You know, her rolling her eyes and then just having all of that context with the things she has said publicly about and to Will just made people wonder whether or not she was somehow involved in that decision from Will. But he's clearing the air here, saying that it was just him doing it. And you know what? I'll take his word for it. I think this was just an impulsive decision here. I don't think Jada had some kind of device that she can control Will's brain like something out of Dexter's lab. I really think he just completely overreacted and went fucking berserk here for some reason. And I don't think Jada is necessarily guilty of that, but I do think she is guilty of being a very toxic partner. I know that sounds parasocial to say, but the amount of clips and videos of Jada just shitting on Will to his face is baffling. Like the time where she was just talking about cheating right to him and how much she like enjoyed it or whatever during their red table talk. Oh my god, it's so hard to sit through. As Will's like in tears about it and she's just joking. Oh man, it's fucking brutal. And so now Will looks like a cuck. I mean, I'm just not a big Jada fan. I'll say it. I don't think she's that nice.
What would you say to the people who looked up to you before the slap, or people who expressed that you let them down?
Let me just stop you right there. You don't have to apologize to me. I found this whole thing to be highly entertaining. I thought this was extremely goofy, and no one seriously got injured or anything like that. This was just an absolute fucking wild moment. And honestly, for this section, he should have just said, "You're welcome." You know, to the journalist that wouldn't stop fucking writing about it, like a million articles all going deep into it for no fucking reason, talking about how this is setting a bad precedent and how in the next Oscars, all of a sudden people might be showing up there with battle axes to attack their critics, how journalists are no longer safe, you know, this and that. Like, he honestly should have just said, "You're welcome," for the 2 weeks of just articles and videos about it. Now, of course, there were super fans of Will that were disappointed to see this, and I think it's cute that he said that he was sorry for it and letting them down. He apologized to Chris's family, his family for the negative backlash they've faced. He apologized to pretty much everyone that was directly impacted by it. And now in this section, he's talking about how horrible he feels when he doesn't live up to people's image of him. And I will say he does seem pretty sincere for the most part. But again, it's been 4 months. Most people have moved on. This was pretty unnecessary. Though I'm sure a lot of people that did feel like really disappointed appreciate the gesture.
Disappointing people is my central trauma. I hate when I let people down. It hurts me psychologically and emotionally to know I didn't live up to people's image and impression of me. Deeply remorseful. And I'm trying to be remorseful without being ashamed of myself, right? I'm human. And I made a mistake.
But yeah, he finishes it off by saying that he is remorseful and he's, working on being better. And if you stick with him, you can all be friends again. And that's basically where it concludes. Overall, I don't think it's like the worst apology ever, especially in the tier list of YouTuber apologies. I think this one was one of the more sincere ones, at least from everything I've seen from it. Unless I've been deceived by his great acting, I couldn't tell you. But this is just one of those situations that is so wild to me. Why do this 4 months later? If he had done this like a day, 2 days, even a week after this happened, I think the reception to it would have been much better than it currently is. Yes, it still has, I think, a pretty positive reception overall from like his actual like dedicated fans. But the general consensus I'm seeing here is, why is he doing this? This seems very fake to do it now. It's way too late. We've all moved on, this and that. So again, you don't really win with an apology video, but if he'd at least made like a statement like this, a big statement like this, right after it happened, I think he would have been in a much better position now than he is currently, if that makes sense. But anyway, I just wanted to talk about this since the slap is the gift that just keeps on giving. Somehow, there is still developments with that whole story that keep happening. Anyway, that's about it. See ya.